Hi, welcome to another Facebook Live here, sponsored by the Department of Theater and Dance here at here at Casper College. And today we have two guests that are in the new upcoming show, the Rock and Roll Fantasy, that's going to be opening this coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and then Sunday matinee at 2 o'clock. And then next week, Wednesday through Saturday. These two are in the program. We are lucky to have today Kennedy Terry here and also Armando Rodarte. And they actually do a dance together, right? Tell us about it. First of all, tell us a little bit about this Rock and Roll Fantasy. We've heard a lot of different things, from it being multimedia, for it being 1980s, early 1980s, late 1970s music. We've had a lot of background on it, but from your perspective, why don't you tell us a little bit of what you think? Kennedy first, what do you think of the show? Tell us a little bit about it.
I really love this show. I'm very excited for everybody to see it, and we moved to the McMurray main stage, which was a huge transition, but I think it really amplifies all of the multimedia aspects and the costumes and the movement. And I'm really honored and humbled to be a part of an original work. This has never been done before, and it's really awesome to be the first to do it.
So what kind of challenges of being a new work, Armando? What kind of challenges were you guys dealing with in regard to this whole new concept of a dance concert?
Well, definitely we were trying to connect with that grooviness, of the music, and it was just a lot of, how do I say this? I can't get the words right. I know, but it was just definitely hard to try to connect yourself with the music, and try to get into that position to be able to express those things.
How does it differ this time compared to other dance interpretations that both of you have been involved in other different dance shows, showcases, and perhaps the show last year? How does this differ from those, Kennedy?
This one's a lot different because this isn't music that necessarily from our generation that we listen to all of the time. So it's a little different, like you said, to connect to the music. It's also different because there are lyrics, and last year with Charlotte's Web there were no lyrics, no speaking, and so it's a lot different, and you get to express the movement and portray the songs in a completely different way, and you can get the message across more with lyrics. So it's a completely different feel.
And it just blows my mind every time. This is like a reality thing, a reality bump, where so many of us and many people who are listening to this have grown up with music like this, like Styx. Whereas for you guys, if you have been in contact with it, it's due to it being kind of the retro music of the time, versus it being new. Yeah. It's just retro. So what do you guys think? What is your? Let's just take the music from Styx, from Paradise Theater, for example, which we know that there's going to be a lot of that music in there. How does it hit you? Does it feel old-fashioned to you? Does it feel kind of outdated? Do you really relate to it? What's your response to that?
I genuinely love the music. It's, oh my God, it pumps me up every time I hear it. It's just, I don't know, like you can feel the music almost. It's insane.
How about for you, Kennedy?
It's real music, it's real instruments, it's not synthesizers and computers and just random noise like we hear today in our generation's music, and so that's definitely a breath of fresh air because we tend to use a lot of that music, a lot of our generation's music, electronic stuff, for our modern classes sometimes, for example, and so it's definitely a breath of fresh air, and you can catch us on the side of the stage just jamming out. It's so good. Every time I hear it, it's just like, wow, this does not get old, and it's a real music thing.
Well, and what I find is with a lot of these bands, Styx is one of them, and that they are so classic. Now that we've had enough distance from it, it's like the Beatles, where now we really look at a band like the Beatles and we go, oh, they weren't just a rock and roll band that just kind of played some tunes. that they were actually just an amazing art form at the time that really was developing. And Styx was that way also. I even remember when this album, when this Paradise Theater album came out, that it was, you know, the cover of it was so unique. It was really just, it was exploding into a whole new genre of music. Elton John the same way, but yet we still, just 6 months ago, we had an Elton John concert here, you know, so even though the music is old, for some reason, it's still connecting.
Absolutely.
And what is that? What do you find that you connect, how do you connect as a young person who didn't grow up with music like that? How do you connect to it? What is it that still makes you connect with it? Can you put a tangible description to that?
Definitely the times we're living in now are, you know, just as hard as, I wouldn't say just as hard, but we're definitely going through some tough times today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that music, we can like relate to it, and I think that's what helps us a lot on the
From a
stage.
word standpoint, you mean that it's addressing issues that still are issues today? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah?
Yeah, the lyrics are, I mean, it's a concept album, and so it basically talks about social injustices in the United States and trials and tribulations that we've gone through as a country that were happening back then that are still connected to us today.
Mhm.
And that's a really cool transition. It's something for us to be connected to, like, oh, this didn't just happen in the 80s, this is happening now.
Mhm.
And I think we also connect to it because it's what our parents listened to. And so I remember I played Best of Times for my parents, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this song. And so there's a connection there too. So.
Well, my question to you, final question before we get into really what you're doing within the program, would be out of all the music that's incorporated within the show, what's your favorite? What's your favorite song?
Halfpenny.
Halfpenny, Two Penny? Is that Styx?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have to say Too Much Time on My Hands, definitely.
From Styx also.
Yeah, they're both from the
Too
Paradise.
Time on my hands.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Let's get on stage, and maybe you can just show us, first of all, actually, let's get on stage going this way, and we can talk a little bit as we're passing this stuff. We're now, by the way, if you haven't heard, we have moved the dance show now to the main stage. And so we are able to take more tickets. We can handle more people now. So if you thought that you couldn't get a ticket now for the show, now you can, because we're dealing with a theater of 384 seats versus 100. So, well, maybe it's 370 seats because we cut some seats. But anyway, there are a lot more seats. Come and order tickets. Let's walk this way and tell us what's going on here. This looks like a classroom versus versus this being a part of the show. What are we doing with the computer here? What is all this stuff for? What is it doing to you?
They're controlling the projections that are going to be up here on the screen. And this projector is basically just blinding us the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's adding an extra layer to the show, which is really cool.
So if it's blinding you, that means that is it also then shining on you?
Mhm, absolutely. There's shadows. We play a lot with
Yeah.
shadows on the back walls and on the sides as well. So it's
Very
actually
cool.
very cool.
And then we have intelligent lights here, I see.
Yes.
I don't know if that one's plugged in, but these are for sure plugged in.
Yes.
And then we also have projections here.
Yeah.
Do we have a projection there? So that means, are these showing what that's showing?
Yes. Yeah. All original
Okay. And what are they projecting? I mean, is it?
Well, throughout the songs, there's different like pictures and stuff that will relate to the song, or
Mhm.
you know, just help emphasize the meaning of the song. Yeah.
Okay.
At
So
one part we're like in a disco, and so there's some flashing lights and like swirls.
so it could be images, it
Yeah.
could be moving things,
Yeah.
and it all kind of runs parallel to interpretation of the music.
Absolutely.
And is that going on generally most of the time?
The whole time.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. Come on up. Oh, you guys go ahead and go up. I gotta take my shoes off. Ah. Okay, so you guys actually have a specific piece that you do,
Yeah.
correct? And what piece is that?
Best of times.
The Best of Times. And you, is this just a dance with you two, or do we have other people coming in and going out?
So there's Marcel and Abby, they're the other couple, and they're on
Mhm.
this side over here. And there's people walking while while we're doing what we're doing. There's like people walking in the back and through the front. It's like really cool because they walk in a like specific pattern. It's
Very
Different
cool.
timing, and it just adds a
Yeah.
lot of depth to the stage and to the piece.
Well, we don't want you to give up too much of this. But, could you do like 30 seconds, a minute of the dance thing that you're doing?
Yeah.
And just give us a show, give us a pre-show, let's say. This is Kennedy, Terry, and Armando Rodarte doing a little smidgen of the upcoming show, Rock and Roll Fantasy. Awesome, awesome. Now, what's really interesting about this is that you were saying that this is from the Best of Times. This is a rock and roll piece, right?
Yes.
But what you are doing stylistically is really more ballet oriented in the kind of dance that you're doing.
Yes.
And so juxtapositions, that's a real interesting juxtaposition where you actually have rock and roll music, but then you're incorporating ballet into the rock and roll music, and it works.
It does.
And so how is this that you can be doing something completely non-classical, you can be doing a dance that's classical in orientation, and put it together with something so raucously rock and roll and have it work? Have you ever thought about that?
Well, I would say that, while the music's rock and, very based, I would still say it's very beautiful, very elegant, I would say. It's, so it can still have that grace to it,
It's sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's not like in your face the entire time. It does have
It's
its
like,
moments.
just chill, like nice times.
Yeah, yeah. And it actually reminded me, of course, the Olympics are going on this week. And I've been watching a lot of the Olympics, and what you were doing was, I saw the skaters do that earlier this week, even actually some of the same moves. It was really fascinating. And there's that relationship that you two have that you have to develop in order to be able to create, send out that energy to the audience to get that interpretation the way that you want it. Do you know each other in this piece, or is this more abstract, that you are just representations?
I would say that we know each other. It's like a memory that we can think of one another,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're representing, us and the other duet are representing people's memories of their best times with other people. And so it's not necessarily a longing, but kind of living in memory. It's interesting how we're playing with it. It's really beautiful. And then we have the people walking around who are looking as though they're remembering their best times with other people.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It's difficult to explain, though, isn't it?
It is. It's really difficult.
And you know what? The only way, folks, that you can truly, truly get a feel for how extraordinary this program is to be able to come to the show. Again, it opens this coming Thursday, runs Thursday through Saturday at 7:30 at night here on the main stage, then Sunday, 2 p.m., and then the next week, still here in the main stage, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7:30. So get your tickets. You can get them online, or you can call the box office at 268-2500? 268-2500. So, thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Armando.
Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate you doing this with us, and hope to see you there. You got to see these guys work. It's going to be incredible. Until we meet again, thank you from Facebook Live, Casper College Theater and Dance Department. See ya.